In this episode of the She's Bossed It podcast, I have the amazing Victoria Morley. I am so excited to share this amazing episode with everybody because I just know how many little nuggets people are going to get from this very genuine, deep conversation with Victoria. I'm going to stop talking. I need to get straight into it. So, firstly, hey, Victoria, how are you?
I'm amazing. I'm so happy to be here as well.
Yeah, you are looking lovely. I know that people can't see you right now with this is a podcast episode. However, it's a great time for me just to share. We are actually going to start taking our videos, guys, over to the Beauty Boss TV, which is the YouTube channel. So if you are someone who would rather, watch me and Victoria do this and have this amazing conversation, then head over to the Beauty Boss TV channel on YouTube and you can get to watch it as well as listen to it. So I just need to start with the word that is going to be the theme throughout this whole episode, I feel like, anyway. And that word is genius.
Mhm.
Now, I know that the word is used in very many different ways, online, in books, etc. And there's some gimmicky ways of using it as well. But I want to just start from a really honest place. And that is, what does genius actually mean? Let's just make sure that everyone starts on the same page of what it means, like the definition of genius, and then we can go into your amazing story.
I'm going to go into my definition of genius.
Yes.
So yeah, people like say zone of genius, get into your zone of genius, blah blah blah. I'm here for genius. My clients are here for genius. Genius is like what you are the best on the planet at. And every single one of us is the best on the planet at something very, very specific. But not everyone, number one, is ready to actually take that on. Because you guess what? When you know that, a lot of glass ceilings you've given yourself and limitations dissolve in an instant. Um, but yeah, it's literally you're 1 in 8 billion. I think there's 8 billion people on the planet now. You're 1 in 8 billion genius.
Okay.
Everyone's like,
So
what the hell?
yeah, definitely. Because the thing is, we all want to strive to be better, be a better human, be a better mother, be a better business owner. And so to be that person or to meet that version of ourselves, I guess what I really want to ask you is where do we find it? Like, where do we find this genius? Like, where's it gone?
Well, funny you should ask. I'm doing a whole program on this, but
Okay.
no, so which is Genius Code. It comes from so many different places. So when I created my Genius Vortex method, like a small part of that is finding your genius code. And probably as the conversation goes on, I'll explain where you then used your genius in your strategy to make you basically to eradicate competition and allow you to grow your business really fast. And I was actually doing this with one of my clients yesterday. So, genius, it's like you're having to find the breadcrumbs. So, you have natural gifts and talents, you have skills that you have learned. You also have, if you are spiritual like me, you might call it source, you might call it soul, you might even call it God, but soul activated, soul led gifts as well. So, if I talk about what I did with my client yesterday, it started as a very messy puzzle where we were literally going through like what she's here on the planet to do, what her gifts and talents are, what she wants to be freaking known for on this planet, what she wants to speak on stages about, what she wants to write books about, and what the outcome is for her dream client of everything that she does. And within about an hour and a half, we actually found her genius, and from that, everything else has flowed. So, for example, my genius is I'm a genius activator. And all I needed to do was follow the breadcrumbs throughout my whole life. And I've always been so freaking interested about people who are the best, people who are the best. And I've always had this natural talent for being able to spend a short period of time with someone and just see their genius, see how that there is no one on the planet like them. And that's why when I came, first of all, into the beauty industry and was doing beauty business coaching, which I'm not in the beauty industry now, I'm much wider than that. Um, I was able to help women who were like just trying to compete and trying to be one of many to really sit into what made them like no one else in the industry at the time. But now I help people see how there is no one else on the planet like them who can do what they do in the way that they do it. And then we build business strategy out from there. and do a shit ton of identity work because it's kind of a big thing too.
Yeah. That's really interesting. You just used that word identity. It was probably 2 or 3 emails ago. So every week I send a letter from Layla, which is a personal email to my subscribers. And it's the type of content that is really like, it's not polished. I literally sit there and type. If I put in a swear word, I put in a swear word. If I share something really honest, and it could be something that I've lost or something that I feel like I was failing at or a lesson, it all goes in the letter from Layla. And about 3 emails ago, the letter was about my new identity as
Hmm.
a hotelier. Because for so many years, for over 2 decades, my personal identity has been beauty boss,
Hmm.
beauty, 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 and all the different ways I've grown in the beauty industry. And now here I am as a hotelier, and I'm like, okay, who am I serving? Guests, students, mentees? Like who am I? What's my messaging? And it all comes down to that identity. And I got so confused through the transition that I stopped showing up. I stopped posting. Um, and then people were messaging me like, Layla, are you no longer in the beauty industry anymore? We can see that you've gone on to do other things. I'm like, oh my God, what is that? So I stopped sharing my stories and I just went ghost. And that whole identity shift is actually a whole thing.
It's huge. It's it's massive
Mm.
because your identity literally, whatever reality, whoever's listening to this, whatever reality you have created right now, whether you have a debt, whether you have loads of money, whether you have lots of clients, whether you are overgiving, whether you are burning yourself out, whether you're people pleasing, that is completely safe and amazing for your current identity, whether you like it or not. And actually this will open up a really beautiful conversation. Like Layla and I were having a chat before we came on, and a lot of people will believe that they can't get out of their situation. They believe that their reality was caused by something outside of them. And by the way, sometimes, I hope you don't mind me swearing, sometimes shit happens, sometimes horrific stuff happens in our life. But when you look at your reality as a whole, if there's lots of things in there that you don't like, you created that. You created that. I had this realization when I got into over 6 figures worth of debt through some really poor investments. And the minute you actually recognize that that is on some level serving you, so it's serving a belief system. it's and this is where we obviously track back to childhood beliefs. There'll be trauma attached to it. There'll be all sorts of just crazy stuff. We're very, very complex. The minute you realize that, and you realize that your identity right now is the thing that is very happy where you are, then you realize how powerful you are keeping yourself in certain situations, but also how powerful you are at getting yourself out of them. But like Les just said, identity is huge because it's not just if you're wanting to grow your business and make more money and bring in dream clients and work less, like a strategy alone is not going to do that because you're going to keep sabotaging. You feel safe burning yourself out. You feel safe undercharging. You feel safe with debt. You feel safe, I'm going on the negative here.
No, but it's all
But
very, very true stuff. It's real
it's,
stuff.
yeah, and so many people deal with this. But as soon you have to work at recalibrating your belief system, your nervous system, your emotional intelligence. There's so many amazing things to work on alongside the strategic aspect of it as well.
Mm.
There's a lot there.
So are we talking, well, it sounds like we're talking mindset stuff, which, has got to be the foundational block of pretty much everything that we do. Like you
Yeah.
said, the trauma from when we lived at home, when we were children, what conversations we had around us, all the stuff we were absorbing that we weren't aware that we were,
Hmm.
starting a story, so to speak. So you're saying those things are keeping women safe? Are
Yeah.
you? As in like in
Yeah.
their safe
Yeah.
zone,
So if you
playing small?
imagine like a situation where you've had a school teacher say you're never going to amount to anything, you're never going to make a load of money,
Mm.
that will have caused a small trauma or a certain level of trauma to that child. That's then created a belief system. I'll never amount to anything. I'll never make lots of money. And then it's then, as a belief system, everything you do, everything you feel, everything you act out as a result of that, if you're unaware of it, will always fulfill that story.
Mm.
Like I had a huge I'm not good enough beliefs. So I ended up in relationships with horrific human beings. But that was safe to me because I wasn't good. I believed I wasn't good enough. So I was with people who treated me like I wasn't good enough. And I was in a really messed up way happy in that environment.
Interesting.
It is so interesting. And every woman I've ever coached, her biggest blocker has always been what's up here. It's never to do with abilities or capabilities. It's always to do with that because both I've experienced it and my clients have experienced some absolutely crazy ass transformations from, like, it could just be one shift. Like a client recently was really blocked to receiving money because she'd had something had gone on personally and it had shut all down her nervous system.
Mm.
It had taken her back to some instances when she was growing up, and it had literally written F off on her forehead to any money coming into a business. After we worked on that, she did a 40K month last month.
Wow.
Honestly, and that was the main thing that was blocking her.
Okay.
So it's that part of it is huge.
Yeah.
What you believe is possible for you, what you believe is true. And this is why when I was chatting about genius at the start, it's one thing knowing it. Not many people want to know that because you like when you're like, okay, I know that I'm the best on the planet at this. Okay, this actually means that I could go and do freaking anything, be anything.
Mm.
Like all your limits just dissolve.
Where do you think confidence comes into this? Because if someone's confident, like naturally confident, I'm going to use me as an example. I'm pretty confident. There's nothing you could tell me that I'll go, oh my God, no. I actually couldn't think of anything, actually, to be honest, apart from things like step in front of a bus, you know.
Yeah,
um,
but don't do that.
yeah, just don't do that. But generally speaking, I'm a confident person, and there's many other confident women in the industry. Yet, so they've got that confidence, you know, box ticked. Yet there's still this other stuff going on. So is there a connection there?
Yeah, like you can be confident, but you're still happy at the level you're at. Like
Right.
confidence
Back to
actually
that
has
safe.
nothing to do with what you're then going to be able to go and do. It's actually more down to courage. It's like a relentlessness. So I remember when I reopened my business,
Mm.
like say with over 6 figures worth of debt, I remember a switch happened. I remember I was like universe, there is nothing else. Like I literally, my house was at jeopardy, my marriage was nearly at jeopardy because it's really, really tough for my husband to watch me build up and build up debt. And me being like, and us struggling to pay our bills. And he was like, Victoria, you're gonna have to go back to corporate. And I'm like, I am never, ever going back there again. And a switch happened. And I'm like, universe, there is nothing else you can give me right now. Like, literally, give me whatever you need to give me now. Because I knew everything was like a training ground. I detached my self-worth from money. And it was this ultimate conviction that I am going to open my business. I'm going to absolutely blow it out of the park, which I did. And then it was a conviction that I am never going to allow myself to stay, just, I can't even explain it, like just stay stagnant or stay stuck. Because to me, that is like suffocating.
Mm.
I always need to be growing. And that's why when I know when you've said, like, Victoria, I've seen you go through like 1,000 identities, it's like a flip switched in me. So like women can be confident at any level. Women can be like, and actually women can be appear to be confident and not. Like we see a lot of women as well, you
Yeah.
know, who maybe don't look after themselves, are struggling with illnesses, and that does, and they put on this, I'm really confident when actually they're not. But even the women who are freaking confident, like I've always been a pretty confident woman, except for when I was going through that real dark period, which was unusual for me. I still know that isn't like confidence doesn't mean I'm going to be more successful.
Mm.
It's actually the decision that I'm going to be completely convicted. I'm going to be relentless, never against what my values or my standards are, right? Because I don't believe in burning out. I don't believe in anything like that. But it's just it was like just a promise to myself that I'm literally never gonna allow, this is where genius comes in as well, allow an industry, allow a client, allow someone else in my circle to ever, I never allow anything outside of me to restrict me, is what I'm trying to say. So this is what I see in the beauty industry a lot. For example, like women will define themselves by I'm work in a salon, or I'm a skin specialist, or I'm a this, or I'm a that. And actually their deepest desire is not that.
Mm.
Like the client I was chatting to you about, her deepest desire when we actually did this soul activation work, she saw herself speaking on stage. She saw herself serving hundreds of people. She saw herself living in an amazing house. And within like, I think it was within 9 months from that visualization, she'd already spoken on stage. She'd already added nearly 6 figures of revenue to business. And she was like wildly known for her genius.
Mm.
But that didn't come from logical thinking. That didn't come from, oh, I've got a home salon and I'm bringing in this amount that month. It came from a completely different sphere, completely different place. And we all have that. None of us were put on this planet to just we were all put on this planet for our unique gifts and for the tribe of people that we're here to serve. Because we're not for everyone, right? Some people are going to hear me on this and be like, oh, I can't even listen to that woman. Other people are going to be like, give me some more.
Yeah.
And this is another thing as well. When you discover your genius, when you decide to go after the things that you really, really want, you're going to be leaving people behind. People are going to be triggered by you. You're going to get shit off people.
Oh, I've
Like,
had it all. I've
of
had
course.
all of my oldest best friends. Don't forget where you came from.
Oh,
I've had
and
all
it's
the things.
projections like
Ex-employees.
that.
Yeah, we've had it all.
The thing that really, really, I'm so sick of seeing, I'm so bored of seeing, is women bad mouthing other women for talking about money. Like, hello, there's enough shame in this world around. Like 50 years ago, I think it was 50 years ago, we couldn't get a bank account without a man. And then there's women shaming women for saying how much money they earn. And then they're shaming actually if it is even the money that they've earned. And it's like, it's none of that. But like, do you know what I mean?
Oh, that's a whole different conversation.
That's all that we could do like 5 hours on that. But there's so much people, yeah. And my point is when you really get connected to what you're here to do and how big you actually want to go, because not many people actually own how much money they want to make, how many people they want to impact,
Mm.
because they're like, oh, they either don't believe they can do it or they think people are going to think they're greedy. Like so many people will say that women are greedy because they say they want to be a millionaire. I want to be a millionaire. Okay, I'd love to be a billionaire. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
We should all be able to earn money being being the best that we can freaking be and inspiring and activating and actually serving people. Because I find women, we are here to serve. We love serving in some shape or form.
But we're nurturers, aren't we? We know
We
that as
are
motherhood to the way that we are with our partners, yeah.
creators. We're
Yeah.
so freaking powerful.
Mm.
Like
Mhm.
so powerful. Like you just have to, like anyone who's given birth, like Jesus, you just like given birth to life. It's
Yeah.
freaking insane when you think about it.
It's actually mind blowing. Yeah.
It is mind
We
blowing.
are amazing,
We
basically.
freaking are. Like literally, we are. So I think what I just love more people to do is actually no, like hear my words. You are here to do illogical things on this planet and impact an illogical number of people in illogical ways and earn illogical amounts of money if you're ready to freaking take it on. Because not
Mm,
everyone's ready to take on. They want
that's
to just
right.
be like, I've got this situation and it's because of this, and I've got this, and I've got this, and I've got this. And then there's women out there who like have got way worse situations than that, who are absolutely going all in, balls to the wall, gung ho, guns blazing
But
after
here's
what?
the thing, is that why they are going at it? Because because their back is against the. So, for example, you were just saying about your story there. You got to that
Yeah.
dangerous place
Oh
where
yeah.
marriage was, on the rocks, nearly going back to corporate, maybe losing your house and all the debt.
Yeah.
But what about the person that still wants to level up, wants to, step into their genius? They want to discover, their inner genius, but they're quite comfortable. That like their bills are getting paid. They're in a lovely marriage, happy family. What's got to happen? Does it have to get that bad before they go
No, it does
right?
not have to get that bad. I just, for some reason, with my patterning and whatever journey I decided to go on in this lifetime, wanted it to get that bad for me to write. Like, and I also believe what I gave my biggest fear, by the way, was having debt. Biggest fear. And I gifted myself that and some. But what that gifted me was another set of gifts that I can help my clients through. So when whatever my client is dealing with, I've got their back because I've literally I
Been
was in
there.
survival mode.
Yeah.
So you absolutely do not need to get there. But if you are listening to this and you're like, well, I'm quite comfortable where I am, great, stay where you are. Like, there's no one telling you you have to freaking go there. And that's why, like, although I know I'm here to impact millions and millions of people, there's I like my work is probably only for like a small percent of people who have that, who allow themselves to actually dream big and do it, not just sit there and think and wish or see other people do it. Like just the ones who are freaking ready to go. The courage, like super courageous women, brave women, women who will risk more because it is a risk. The bigger you go, like each time I've done an investment in like mentors and stuff, I've invested more. And like that's a risk. And you know, my like what happened, I made really bad investments. Lots of people would never make an investment again after that. But that's not me. So it's really it's the women who know that they are, it's that feeling when you know you are here to do freaking 1,000x bigger than what you're doing right now. That's the kind of woman. That's the kind of woman that ends up coming into my world. Um, and if you don't, that's absolutely fine. Not everyone wants that. Not everyone is believes that they can do that, and that's fine. Do you know
So
what
with
I mean?
the
There's nothing wrong with it.
yeah, so with the women that you help, is their desired outcome in discovering their genius connected directly with their career path? I want to take this conversation
Yeah,
into, industry,
yeah.
niche, or is it, not just career, is it life in general, personal development, or are we very strategic with let's find
It,
your inner genius
yeah.
and this is how strategically we're going to grow you as a career woman?
So first of all, it ripples into absolutely everything. Like every single woman who is going through some sort of identity shift, shifting in their business, it's going to impact every single part of their life because their boundaries change, their standards change, what they are available for, how they choose to spend their time, who they choose to spend their time with changes very, very rapidly because you become very, like your energy, your time is so sacred when you are like eyes on the prize. I know exactly what I want and nothing is going to stop me getting there. So a lot does change. Like it can obviously shake relationships a little bit because sometimes, especially if you've got a partner who's a logical thinker like my husband, and I'm like, I'm going to impact millions, I'm going to make millions, let's freaking go. I'm going to speak on stage with Tony Robbins one day. And he's like, okay, but can we just think about this first? you know,
100%.
um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's every woman that I work with, it's always they want to grow a really freaking incredible business that changes not 10 lives, not 100 lives, thousands or millions of lives, and they want to earn like a shit ton of money.
Yeah. I love the money
You know,
conversation, by the way. I've always been
yeah,
pro money. In my earlier,
always.
in my
And
earlier,
that's guess what? That's why you've done so well
yeah,
because you love money and you're
yeah,
not afraid to love money and make money.
yeah. It's a very healthy relationship.
It's
I talk
very
about it
healthy.
very positively with my children, always have done. Um, and I don't know whether that's come from my upbringing, possibly. I don't remember, but possibly. And I just think, you know, look, without going down the political conversations, there's certain people in this world that are running countries and,
Oh,
governments, and they're doing horrendous things with money. But I
yes.
do think women, we're wired differently. And I think money can only do good. Like me
Oh,
as a businesswoman, I bought two cars for my two younger siblings. One of my best friends, she couldn't get pregnant. So I gave her £5,000. She went to Alicante. She now has a baby. Like I can do these
wow.
things if there wasn't money, money does good stuff, really, really good stuff. And that's what I attach to that when it comes to money, really,
Yeah.
you know?
I want an animal sanctuary. When I get to a certain amount, then I know I can have animal sanctuary because
Love
I'm
it.
the person who like spends a lot of time at farmyards, like hugging the animals.
Oh, I
I
love
don't eat them,
that.
by the way, if anyone's wondering if I like hug them and then eat them. I don't.
But
And
it's
I
always good,
don't.
but it's bigger than us. I think my point was when
It's
it comes
so
to
much
money,
bigger.
it's not about us getting the latest handbag or car.
Oh my God, no.
It's it's actually not actually ever about us. Yeah.
I want generational wealth. I want my daughter to be able to go because I know she's going to do amazing things. I want her to actually have one, she'll be brought up to respect money,
Mm.
and she'll have a very healthy relationship with it. But I want her to be able to go change the world in whatever way she wants. It might be in the small way, it might be in a huge way. I don't really care, but I actually want her, like there's my lineage has had a very weird relationship with money. There's been a lot of money, there's been not a lot of money. There's some very messed up beliefs that I want to stop here, but I want to make sure that generations to come, like this makes me get emotional, but when I think about what I'm doing, I want generations and generations and generations to know it stopped here.
Mm. Would you say, Victoria, because I know that as we've been talking, we've had little snippets about Victoria and about
Mm-hmm.
your debt and about, you
Mm-hmm.
as a person. Is this something that is it an ongoing project? Like, are you constantly working on yourself? Or is it like, oh, I don't
Always.
have that limiting belief
Oh
anymore?
no,
Tick.
always, because the minute I like hit a milestone and I'm like, cool, now the next one, sometimes that triggers some of the old patterning, but often new patterning, and it's always new beliefs. Like I say, whatever beliefs I have right now have me exactly where I am right now. So unless I'm working on those, I'm going to stay exactly where I am right now.
Mm.
My nervous system is calibrated to this, to how much money is coming into my business, how many clients I have, how much time I have in my day. It's all calibrated to that. So if I want to change that fast, and by the way, this is how I opened my business in August. I had no sales page. My audience was so cold because I'd not been doing anything with it. First month I did 10K, first month 10K, second month 50K, third month 40K. And I've maintained multi-five figures since then. That was me going freaking deep on my identity.
Mm. Yeah. So
And
you've got to want it enough.
I'm having to calibrate that all the time.
Yeah.
Every single program I launch triggers me in some shape or form, but I'm like, I'm here for the triggers and I won't not do something in case it triggers me. In fact, if it doesn't trigger me, I know I'm not being expansive enough or thinking big enough.
Yeah. I
Always, like
absolutely
everything
love
I
that.
do.
Yeah.
Oh
That's
yeah.
powerful.
Yeah, you got to look for the triggers. And also every program I create has to expand me. If it doesn't, I'm not gonna sell it.
Mm.
Simple, because I'm not here to bore myself going through the same stuff over and over again. So, and that's why if we get on strategy, there's some strategic ways that have made growing business a lot easier. So I'm not having to be repetitive. Shall I go into genius? How you can then build genius into strategy?
Yes, please.
Okay. So say, for example, you know what your 1 in 8 billion genius is. So like, blah, is gifted, you've got it. It's like, what the freaking hell do you do with it? In order to grow business really, really fast, and it doesn't matter if you've had a business that's been around for like 10 or 20 years, or it's a business that has just started, the most important things that are going to grow your business are your offers, your messaging, your identity, your ability to sell. Offers, the way I teach offers is they are derived from your genius methodology. So you know what you're a genius in. So for example, I'm a genius activator. Where I'm also helping people grow their business. But when I think of my methodology, I help people, number one, find their genius. I help people find their methodology, create offers, create messaging, and then all the identity work as well. But each thing that I do has a genius-led lens to it. So there's lots of people that teach messaging, there's lots of people that teach offers, there's lots of people that teach sales. But mine is always respecting my genius, which is helping people bring in their genius thread into every single thing that they do. Tell me if you're not following this. But that means every single offer I create is always birthed from my genius methodology. Why? Because no one on the planet has a methodology like mine, the same as Layla. No one on the planet has a methodology like yours. And to stop competing in offers and to stop being one of many and stop being like, have loads of different choices, when you build offers that are from your genius, no one else on the planet has built an offer like that before because no one has your same set of genius where your methodology comes from. So that's what enabled me to very quickly sell out programs like 3 in a row, twice over, which helped me build my business very, very quickly. When you layer messaging on top of that as well, which obviously you need to master messaging in order to sell out your offers, messaging as well has to, when someone lands on your grid, they have to get the vibe of exactly what you're a genius at and why they should work with you over anyone else. So if I was to do a post around offers, I'd be bringing in the importance of finding your genius and bringing that into methodology in order to create offers, and how that would mean that my clients could sell out offers fast.
Mm.
Like I had a client who sold out her whole program in 48 hours because there is no one on the planet that does what she does, but she's able to converse it through her offers.
Do you connect storytelling with your?
Yeah,
Yeah,
always.
I I
Yeah,
I just thought so. Yeah.
definitely. So the three messaging types I usually teach is like a perspective shift. So teaching your client like what they think their problem is versus what their actual problem is that your offer solves. Embodiment. So this is basically you screaming from the rooftops about what you are doing and how that relates to, yeah. And then obviously the other one is leadership content, where you're talking around client results. Like they're the main types. But like I say, bringing through the genius part and identity work as well. Because
Mm.
as you know, Layla, you can give anyone a set of freaking prompts for messaging, but then if they can't actually hold the conviction behind client results that they're talking around, or their results, then the energy just feels off and then it doesn't convert.
Yeah,
So
I get that.
yeah, so that's how the genius feeds into every single thing someone does in their business. So, for instance, like my clients, especially the ones where I've just very recently done genius work with them, no one's feed looks like theirs, no one's content looks like theirs, no one's offer sounds like theirs, is theirs. And what I'm getting them to dial up as well from an identity level is all those parts of themselves that they've been suppressing and hiding because they're worried that they're too much, or they're worried someone might judge them, or they're worried someone might like them. The parts of their story that they've been shaming, like so many people have debt and don't talk about it. I'm like, frick, I'm owning this because that's part of how I can help clients through that type of thing. Um, so there's also like the huge shift in recognizing that all the things that we have navigated that we then tell ourselves or shame ourselves about or hide or worry if someone calls us out on something, it's like just freaking own it.
Mm.
And some people are going to come with you and love you for it. Some people aren't. The people that aren't are the people who are not your people and never were going to be your people as well. So I really do get my clients to dial up their freakiness, their uniqueness. Like I've got a client who's like a goth. I'm like, turn that up, like freaking turn up to calls with all your freaking back chains on. Like, let's go.
It's almost disruptive or
Yeah,
distracting. And I think when we think about what we're doing here through social media, especially, the currency is attention. We need people's attention. Then we need them to open our stories, open our emails, read our content, scroll our feed. So the best way that we can kind of, yeah, show up different to the others in our niche is to be exactly what you just said with that client, is to be a little bit like, well, just unique and different.
totally. And like everyone's doing reels right now. And I used to do like the filming myself at a freaking laptop. I hate being behind my laptop. I spend as little time behind my laptop as possible. And what I'm doing with my brand, and I'm really encouraging my clients to do, is like we're creative. We are such creative beings. We're creative. We have a business. We're creative because we literally we're service providers. We're creative. Like allow more of that into your content. Like allow that into video. Don't copy what other people are doing because that's the thing that's going to boost the algorithm. Like just freaking like I made like a mini movie for my reel with a professional videographer. Like just freaking go play, because the more you can do that and the more that you play, like my views have gone up hugely on Insta since doing that. Like don't be afraid to buck the trend, don't be afraid to really stand out, don't be afraid to actually do, like that triggered me so much, that video shoot as well. I cannot tell you, Layla, how much that triggered me. Like for a whole week before, yes, because of the stuff I was planning, the outfits I was wearing, like the story behind it, I had newspapers made up with me all on them. Like it triggered me. But I'm like, this is exactly what I need to do because it's triggering me so
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
So do more stuff that triggers you. We should just have that as the title for this podcast, like do more stuff that triggers you because it's
I
your
love
growth
that.
zone.
I love that. But you are right. Everyone is creating the same content. It's all very samey.
It's
There is this
boring.
well, we think it must be working. So we're like, oh, if
It's
that's the trend, then that's going to get more eyeballs and visibility on us. That must be what to post next.
Yeah, and I used to do all this, and I was bored creating it. I don't want to sit there pretending to have a freaking latte, sat like this at a desk that's normally really messy. Like I want to dress up in a ball gown and like walk around Tampa in Florida while getting filmed. Like, why not?
Love that. I love. I haven't seen this content yet. I need to go and find
You
it.
need to go on my Insta because you'll just be like, oh, now I
I'm
get
gonna
it.
go look for it as soon as we
I'm
finish this
like in a
episode.
silver dress, fanning myself with sunglasses on, red lips in a hotel room, for God's sake, bouncing on a bed outside. Like but I had such fun doing it. But my point is, like, if more women just allowed themselves to allow that, because I was like, I'm not creative. And then I'm like, ooh, I've got these amazing ideas for this video shoot. And oh my God, I'm just going to do it. More women did that. Like, they blow up. They would just blow up. And it would come out into their offers as
Yeah.
well.
Do you
They
know what it
wouldn't
kind of
create.
reminds? Well, I don't know if remind is the right word, but it's kind of made me take my thoughts. It's kind of sidelining our conversation right now, but just talking women now, not business, not strategy, just women. You know, like when you see women do professional photo shoots and they're the sexy ones, and it's like, oh,
Mhm.
I wish I could do that or had the confidence to be all like that and do like I had a friend, this is years ago now, I'll never forget it. She did like a calendar for her husband.
Oh, I love this.
That is so hot. And I'm pretty sure if everyone was really honest with themselves, what woman wouldn't want to do that and be made to feel like an absolute sex goddess?
Oh, yeah.
So it's taking that thought process or that energy into into business instead
Into
of like showing
business.
up for husband, but for business, you know. Yeah.
Like I've just brought something into my into behind closed doors. It's like my group mentorship. And every single call, like I'm like, you have to turn up as your most bougie self. And their most bougie self from that day might be like silk pajamas. It might be a tracksuit with sunglasses on and red lips. I don't care. And we have music on at the start and we're just freaking bougie women owning it before we even start. But I'm starting to bring more of that because I actually I love music. I love dancing. I'm terrible. I don't care. So I'm bringing more of that energy and like just freaking bring more of you into everything that you do in business because business is a reflection of you as well. And you know what? I remember just going to your point about women having these like bougie shoots done or sexy shoots. I used to be so like, I can't have my boobs on show. I can't have, not that I like have them on show a lot, but I'd be like, oh, women might think something about my low cut top, or women might think because I've got long hair and red lips or whatever. And there was so much BS I used to tell myself. And now I'm like, I don't really give a shit. Like, I don't give a shit. I'm going to dress in a way that makes me feel amazing because actually that helps my business massively. The content I write, how I am on things like this versus if I turned up with and like don't get me wrong, I love looking like crap.
I think
I love a
all of us
tracksuit.
entrepreneurs do love a hoodie and a joggers
Like
like day. Yeah.
even my husband the other day, I was not it was like first day of period, I was like really low energy. I was crabby as hell. I'm like to him, give me a hug, but don't come near me. And he's like, Victoria, you don't look good today. Like, where's the makeup? Where's like the thingy? And I'm like, I don't feel like it today. And then the next day I like rocked it. But like sometimes we just gotta feel, like the freaking, I don't know what.
Get it. I think every woman listening will get it and be like, we all have these days. Yeah.
We all have those days, like rock those days as well, but also like I love the word bougie at the moment. Allow your bougie self out way more because that will impact massively what you create, the content you create, and guess what? That will impact your sales. So
Let's talk about genius and that connection to career, industry, niche. You touched on it a little earlier ago. Every time you open your mouth and you say something amazing, I'm like, oh, I need to remember that. I need to go back to that. And then you say something else amazing. I'm like, oh, I need to remember that.
I talk fast.
So the competitiveness,
Hmm.
women competing in the same space.
Hmm.
We see it a lot in the beauty industry.
Yep.
We see it a lot, or I am seeing it a lot in the coaching space. And I haven't been in the coaching space for all that long. Since March, I was a certified qualified coach
Yeah.
this year, so less than 12 months. And already I'm like, oh, this is a bit competitive. And
Oh
what?
yeah.
I just want to say why. Like, where is this
It's
coming
the fact
from?
is, I think it's the second fastest growing industry in the world. Second? Is it first or second?
What,
I'm
the
going to
coach?
say second.
Oh, okay.
It's so there's loads of people that are coming into the coaching space. And I remember, like, it wasn't that long ago that I remember I was like, I'm going to relaunch my personal brand because I'd launched a coaching training company. So at the time I was training people to become like accredited coaches. Like I say, it was in that business that there was a lot of bad decisions made, blah blah blah. Anyway, and I remember when I was thinking about launching my business again, because I wanted to do it when I was in the right energy. I'm like, holy shit, like, how am I going to stand out? How this, like, all the stuff that you've just mentioned, I was thinking all that, like, I want to earn, I want to have a business that impacts millions and millions, but how am I going to get seen fast enough? And honestly, when you know your genius, you don't have competitors. You don't have I do not have an industry or niche anymore. Yes, I business coach and mentor, but I'm a fucking genius activator. There's no one on the planet that does it like I do it. So the minute I really sat into that, and I see this when my clients find their genius code as well, it's like all that bullshit that we tell ourselves. I'm so sorry, I'm swearing so much more as this goes on. But all the BS that we tell ourselves, it dissolves. Like the worrying what someone down the road is doing or someone that you're seeing online. Like the women I used to look at, put on pedestals when I came back properly into this industry. I don't see them on pedestals now. I see them as freaking kiss-ass women, but I'm like, but I'm in a league of my own. They're in a league of their own. I'm in a league of my own. So
Definitely.
that just goes. And when that goes, you stop looking at what other people are doing. You stop looking at the content they're creating. You're just in your, like, I'm blinkers on in my lane. My clients are blinkers on in their lane, creating what we want to create, going after what we want to go after, showing up as the people we are, the truth that we are, and being absolutely fine with whatever journey that takes us on. So the like take yourself out of it. First of all, just take yourself out of the industry and start to think about. And I, by the way, the women in the beauty industry that are listening to this, I can guarantee when you tune into what you are really here to do at a soul level, it is like it's 1,000 times greater than what you are doing right now. And this is no way belittling what you are doing right now at all. But every woman that I worked with when I was purely in the beauty industry, every single one of them, in fact, a lot of them became coaches,
I
different
saw that.
type of
Yeah.
coaches. So many flocked to that. But you know in your soul that this isn't necessarily the path. So maybe you like I know Layla helps you learn to become trainers. Maybe it's training, maybe it's educating, maybe it's speaking on stage because you've got this amazing methodology that you use. Like maybe it's writing a book. There could be a whole host of things that you're desiring, but stop boxing yourself in. Stop allowing you to box yourself into an industry, into a niche, into a category. Stop following trends. Stop just learning something. So, like so many people went into aesthetics because they're like, oh, we can make loads of money because we've been watching the Kardashians. Like so many girls are training just to do that. And it's like, tune into what you're actually here to do. Don't tune into what you just think is going to make you some money. Tune into the thing that actually lights you up because I can guarantee the people that are flocking to where the money is just for that are not going to be staying there. They'll sabotage it in
Yeah.
some shape or form.
And they're not there just to inject people's faces all day, every day. That is
And
not
look at the
fulfilling their
shit that's
soul.
going on as well. Like I've seen some horrific stuff
Oh, yeah.
with people that should never have injected. Well, someone died recently, didn't they? It's
Yeah.
just absolutely horrific. But
The
my point
aesthetics
being,
corner is a bit of a shit show right now,
oh my God,
actually.
honestly.
Yeah. But
But my
funnily enough,
point being, there's so much bigger out there.
what you were saying before about like women like seeing what others are up to and looking at other people's content and the salon down the road or whatever, or the business down the road, it hasn't got to be a salon. Funnily enough, I took a voice note just yesterday from a lady who asked me if I would coach her. And in that very first voice note, she went straight into comparing herself to the clinic down the road. And I went back and said, for a start, we don't need to talk about them. I don't need to hear about them. We don't need to talk about them. This is about what you want. And we are going to have a clarity call. But you're right. It's like these little things they put in front of themselves. Like I'm over 2 decades now in the beauty industry. Am I the only coach in the beauty space? No. Are there other amazing women in the beauty space? Yes, I know most of them. But we're all very unique and very different, and we all offer something very different. And actually,
Yeah.
it's actually a nice place to be with the ladies that I know. Quite recently, maybe a couple of months ago, I turned down someone and said, "I'm not the coach for you, but I know who is." And I
Hmm.
batted her over to another coach.
Yeah.
It's like an unwritten tag team thing that happened.
And this is the thing, when you know what your genius is, like there is no lack. There is no lack because it's like, cool, I know what I'm centered on, I know what I want to help women become and do. But if a woman came to me and like she needed something else that just isn't something that either I love doing, I'd be like, here's someone else. So when you have a world of geniuses, it's like I bought off two of my clients in the last month. There's another client that I know I've got a little bit of unresolved trauma that I'm going to do some trauma work with because I know she's freaking incredible at this particular type. So I think as well when like this collaborate over competition as well, this we all have something so special to offer. And the quicker people can actually really care about finding what they're the best on the planet at, the quicker that whole mindset around competing and looking what someone else is doing goes. It just dissolves. There's no place for it when you know what you're the best on the planet at. There is no place.
And I think it depends, it comes down to how much you value your own time as well. Like for me, I'm pretty time rich, to be honest. And so my
Same.
boundaries, I've been pretty good at boundaries. They've been in place as far back as I can remember, yada, yada, yada. And it's a case of, I know I could, I give you an example. We're all on Facebook and we're all in these groups. And I'm in a lot of, if not all of them, the beauty groups. I could probably sit and answer every single post that comes through. I know the answers because I've been there. Like I've literally had the salon, I've had the training academy, I've got the tunic, so to speak. But I'm not prepared to sit there and just answer everything just because I know the answers. All that's really doing is serving my ego. Oh, I know that. Oh, I can help with
Totally.
leadership. Oh, I can help with pricing. Oh, I can help with mindset, whatever. There has to come a point, it's like what you are prepared to just go all in on and what your genius is, I guess.
Yeah.
You know? Oh, there's
Yeah.
so many things I ignore. There's so many things I say no to
Yeah,
because
but you have to, or else you're just going to spread yourself so thin versus, and this is the thing, as women, a lot of women are people pleasers. Actually, a lot of women carry the badge of being a people pleaser, and it is not a badge to carry because it actually means you're putting everyone else's needs in front of your own, which is actually selfish on yourself. Um, and like I was a people pleaser, got me into a lot of trouble, terrible relationships, but like I say, it's because I believed I wasn't good enough. I've so gone off on tangent then and completely forgotten what your question was. I'm like, oh, people pleaser. Oh my goodness.
oh, that's so funny. Okay,
Protecting your energy. That
let's
was it.
talk. Let's talk about because I just want to keep. I want to come back to genius again because it carries. I think I might be wrong in saying this. I think the word genius it has so many faces. It carries so many meanings. I guess is what I'm trying to say. So for anyone who's listening, how can women stay focused on their genius? Because it's easy to get distracted. I know you're sat here saying, don't follow that trend just because everyone else is doing the whole, coffee thing and the laptop thing. But how do they stay focused? How do they stay focused on their own genius,
Okay.
their own game plan?
So once you actually know your, I'm going to call it genius code. Once you actually know your genius code, and then you create your like methodology from that, your offers, your messaging, that's literally your playbook. There's no other place to go because if it doesn't fit into what is your genius, if it doesn't fit into your, like, if you're creating an offer and it's outside of your genius methodology, if you're creating messaging that isn't around like your genius, your offers, then it doesn't go in there. So it's actually a really good way of just keeping, like I say, blinkers on focus. So everything I create now, it always has to be through that lens, or else I'm just creating like stuff that other people create. And I'm not here to create stuff other people create. So it's like your barometer. It is literally your barometer. Um, And you just stay focused on it by always going back to it's an identity shift as well. When you know what you are genius at, like you either take that on or you don't. Like you have a choice at that point, do something with it or don't. And the women I work with want to do something with it because they then realize how freaking powerful they are. They realize that they can go and impact millions if they want. They can go make millions if they want. They can spend way more time with their family whilst doing all this as well. So it's a choice, it's a decision, it's a way of life. It's you're always going to be evolving and changing and expanding. There's no stagnation. There's no staying stuck. You'll feel it in your body if you're staying stuck and stagnated and it feels horrible. Like I literally can feel it if I'm trying to do it and it just feels horrible now. Um, but yeah, it literally becomes a way of life.
It's
But it's a
deep.
really cool
It's
way of
deep.
life.
Yeah, it's deep. I'm now thinking about a conversation I had. So I've only ever had one business mentor, a man, and it was a property mentorship. And I can't remember what I said to him on the call, but we ended up talking after the call. It was a group call. And he said, Layla, you're in a place that I call the danger zone. And I said, what's the danger zone? Like, we've all heard of these words, danger zone, but what do you mean when you say that I'm in a danger zone? Because I'm thinking I'm all right. Like, what have you seen from what we said? And he said, you're too comfortable. He goes, it's
Mm,
a choice. He said, because your back isn't against the wall, because you are living comfortably, you don't want it enough. And I'm like, and I want to do this and I want to do that, but you're not doing the thing. You're not taking the action. And it's because you don't want it enough. So I was like, shit, he's so right. Like, again, then other things then have to come into play, like consistency and accountability. And I see some ladies, again, I'm going to talk about someone on social who is phenomenal. She's a great friend of mine, actually. And she posts her message, and I think her message is very structured and powerful and working. Um, and it's like it is her daily job. She gets up, she puts her face on, she's on the socials. It is a daily job. Whereas for me, I mean, I had, whatever the word successful means to you, it means different things to different people. But I had a successful business before Instagram was invented, before we had all of these ways to show up now. So I did go through a bit of resistance, like, oh,
yeah.
really? I've got to work doubly hard, now for it was easy before. And so I've had to go through and learn all of those learning blocks or those self conversations to be like, the way we make money now, the way we do business now is totally different to the way that I started. Now it is about showing up and, like you just said, dialing in on that messaging and that core offer and exploring which identity you are and which one you're prepared to, put out there
Yeah.
and then making that monetize, you know?
Yeah. It's a huge impact on what you've just said there about being comfortable is also the rooms that you put yourself in or the people that you surround yourself with.
Mm.
Because I will never put myself in a room where there are women who are wanting to stay stagnant and are comfortable. I
Mm.
want to be around women who have illogical goals, illogical thinkers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so some of the masterminds I've joined, like there's already women in there who are doing like 100K plus months.
Mm.
So that's like I wanted to be in rooms where my original floors, my original ceiling's the floor. So a lot of it's that.
Mm.
And like the mentors that I work with are going so fast because I couldn't work with a mentor who wasn't going fast because I know I'll go past them too fast. So there's that as well. It's around, so I know that I have to really respect the types of energetic, like circles almost that I surround myself with, because I know that that keeps me in this expansion pattern. Whereas if I like slipped out of those and I'm like, you know what, I'm not going to have a mentor. You know what, I'm just going to go to like some events in the UK. Like very recently, I went to an event in Florida. And I've already booked 2 events, 3 events for next year, all abroad. If I was going to slip back to that, I know that that would then, I'd tell myself it's okay to just like take my foot off the gas. And putting your foot on the gas isn't burning out. I work less now than I used to.
Mhm.
Like I'm so time rich at the moment. It's
Yeah.
incredible. But that's because I've built my
Yeah.
business. So I
Yeah.
have as little client facing time as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Goes back to some of the patterns that we've had where, you know, people think the busier they are, again, it
Mm.
doesn't have to be just salons, it could be any business. The busier they are, the more money they're making. Absolutely not. We
Oh
need
my
to
God, no.
rewire this message that we were told so earlier on, which is why there's people even to this day, they're saying yes, 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 beyond the working hours. Yes, I'll just
Yeah,
come to my lunch break. Yes, I'll just travel to your home. And then they don't know how to price themselves. And actually there is very little or if any profit. And it's a whole thing.
it's a whole thing, and there's so much lack. One of the biggest patterns to shift out of is lack. When you're told you'll only be successful if you work hard, or no matter how hard you work, like you still won't earn the money other people earn, that's a lack patterning that's just been imprinted on that child or person or adult. So then nothing is ever enough. So, by the way, when I was in corporate, I was multi six figures in corporate. I was burning myself out because it was never enough. Never, ever, ever enough. I could have earned 1 million in a year. I didn't earn 1 million in a year, but I could have earned 1 million in a year. It wouldn't have been enough. I was in lack patterning. Actually, going into that debt, that's how I broke my lack patterning because I realized the money doesn't dictate, like nothing dictates my power, etc. So one of the hardest things for my clients to shift is lack patterning because then when it's like they get 10 people in a program, oh, but I want 20, it's not enough. The universe responds to that and then it starts giving them lack and more lack. Oh, I made this amount this month, but what if I don't make any next month? That's lack patterning. So that's huge.
Yeah.
There's a very high portion of people who are in lack. I used to be one
Straight
of
away,
them.
I can connect to half of my clients that I'm coaching in black.
It's
Yeah.
huge. It's huge. And that is, like, say, one of the hardest patterns to shift. So that's constant energetic work, that's belief work, that's inner child cohesion work, that's shadow work. Like there's a whole gorgeous concoction of things. But that is really hard pattern to shift. And it's what most people are in.
Let's go back to what you said before with the whole get yourself in the room of people playing a bigger game than you. So
Hmm.
I went to, I've shared this actually, so I'm happy to share it again. And I'm not offending anyone. It was a great experience. I took myself on my very first retreat back in September. I've seen people go on retreats for years. I've seen people host retreats for years, but there wasn't enough of something there to me to think, oh, well, I want to be there. I want to be with them people. I want to go and do that. And I was busy doing my own thing with other business ventures. Anyway, so this year I'm like, okay, I've just hit 19 years as a training business. The dates fall actually on my business birthday of that particular business. I'm going to take myself on a retreat. Why not? And I asked a few times, more than once, to the host of this retreat, just want to make sure the ladies that are going to be at this retreat, I just wanted to pre-qualify myself really, that I was
Yeah.
going to be in the right room. I want to be in
Mm.
a room, a bit like what we said earlier, where I can talk about money and they're not going to be cringed out. I want to talk about, the things I've done and they're not going to feel resentful or jealous. Uh,
Yep.
Even though they're not friends at this stage, they're strangers when you start to go to these things, but I want to meet women that are at my level basically. And more than once, yes, the ladies that are at the retreat that are signed up already, they're doing amazing things, they're at your level, multi whatever. Okay, that wasn't the case, Victoria. So
Mm.
I had a great I'm now friends with all the ladies
Was
that I
it
met.
a business retreat? Was it labeled a business retreat?
It was a wealth,
Oh,
it was a wealth and
oh,
business retreat.
oh.
So I go there and I tell them some of my backstory and what I've got and what I've done.
Is it
And
like Trigger Central? Oh no.
I caught rolling eyeballs at me.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. And
Yeah, wrong
then
room.
so what happened so it was a 3-day event that happened on the end of day one. So by day two, I was shrinking in the room. I was
Oh, I
going
bet
quiet.
you were.
I was
Yeah.
going quiet. And I actually did send a little bit of feedback and said, you should have really pre-qualified everybody in that room because we weren't all at the same level and you told me that we were. So I went quiet because I didn't want to offend others. I didn't want to make them feel awkward. On the third and final night, because these retreats, well, I've only been to one, but it ends at a certain time. Everyone's
Yeah.
traveled. No one's at home, so everyone wants to keep going. So it's like, let's go out for dinner or let's go for drinks, or we all visited each other's hotels. And on the last night, we all are at this one particular person's hotel. And because it's the last night, everyone's had a few extra drinks. and obviously alcohol, it makes people loosen up a bit and be a bit more
Hmm.
open. And one of the ladies turned around to me and she said that she found that I was a bit too much.
Oh, wow.
Not in a negative way, not as in like, oh, I don't like you. She goes, but it made me question she goes, I thought I was doing okay until I met you. And I was like, I don't want to make women feel like that.
It's
I,
not your job, though.
yeah,
They choose, yeah,
yeah. So I know when I go into my next room, my next event, retreat, whatever, I really want to make sure that there are women in that room that are big.
Layla,
I want to be the student. I
I
want to
will
be this
hook you
thing.
up with two events that I'm going to next year that
Oh,
will be
okay.
expansive as anything for
I want to
you.
be the smallest person in the room,
Yes,
basically. And
yes.
even one of the other ladies said, the other lady, she said, you weren't right for this retreat. She goes, you were the
Oh
biggest
my
person
God,
in the room.
no.
Flattering, flattering. I'm human. It's nice to hear that. It's flattering and it was complimentary. But as an actual investment in my progression, no.
Hell no.
So going back to what you were saying with, the way the ladies that you are working with now with, them discovering their genius code and you're having these expansive conversations about
Oh,
money and figures and where they want to be and the stages and all the rest. That sounds like a really, really positive environment that you're creating.
totally. And I would
Yeah.
never I'm I would never have energy and anything other than that in my containers either, because I want to feel expansive in the containers that I create as well. So I remember I did a program once and the pre-work triggered a woman so much she messaged me and said, I don't know if I'm ready for this. Can I have a refund? I have a no refund policy, but I'm like, absolutely.
Yeah.
Here. I've never refunded someone so fast in my life, within about 2 minutes. I'm like, yes, because I didn't want that energy. I didn't want any. I think it was my second program since I'd relaunched my business. So I had 20 women in it. It was really important to me that I absolutely blew out the park. And I actually didn't want that energy. I didn't want the slightest hint of that energy in a way that at the time I might have let it impact me as well. I feel like I'm bulletproof now, but at that time I was going through a little bit of a huge identity shifts. But yeah, I was like, nope, with love, no,
Yeah.
not ready.
There's so many building blocks. So everything that we've talked about, like if we're talking about business and how to show up as, an expert without, taking notice of the distractions and the noise and how it's connected to the mindset and how it's connected to discovering what we actually are here to serve and who to serve and what to do. There's so many moving parts, definitely. So what I want to ask you now is for women that feel like they're listening right now and they're like, I love this conversation. I can see me doing bigger, better things. What action can they take? And really what I want you to share with us is your offerings, how you are
Yeah.
helping women right now, your code of genius. Is it a program? Is it a mentoring?
Yeah. When's this recording going out?
The dates are actually getting finalized tomorrow.
Okay.
But
So it
everything
could,
will happen. Everything that you say now in regards to where we can find you, all your
yeah.
handles, it'll all be in the show notes underneath.
Okay, perfect. So depending on when this is aired, Genius Code starts 7th of January, and Genius Code is literally a 2 week immersion where you are going to come in. There is going to be the freaking most immersive experience you've ever had. But you are going to come in and you are going to discover what your 1 in 8 billion genius is and understand what to do with it. So that's kind of no one I've ever known in existence has ever created a program like that. So you can come into that. So we'll make sure that's in the show notes. For those of you who are actually ready to blow things up in whatever shape or form, the place that I always have is called Behind Closed Doors. So that's a 6 or 12 month group mentorship. You get access to every program I've ever created and will create. And you get consistent, literally weekly group mentoring with me. So the women inside that are going for their first 10K months, 20K months, 30K months. So we've got a real mix of where women are at, but they all have the same characteristics. They're courageous, they're brave. They literally want to go and just do amazing things in the world. And there's an absolute mix of the I'm going to say the niched women in there. There's a real mix of who is in there as well. I do one-to-one, but I've usually got extremely limited. So
Yeah,
they're
same.
my main two
Same.
posts coming up. Yeah.
Okay. The 7th of January, Code of Genius, is it cohort style then? Is it?
It's group, yeah. So it's group. So it's a mixture between live workshops and audios. I have a playlist that goes with it, like literally. So what you are going to be listening to when you are not in these things, when you're doing your workout, going for a walk, is all designed to help you really, really step into whatever your genius is. So the workshops are where we're going to like get really messy with all the breadcrumbs, and actually figure out what your specific genius is. And then there's going to be activations to help you shift identity to be able to actually hold your genius at a cellular level. We're going to be doing like soul activations and all these other crazy stuff as well. So it's going to be, I've never been so excited about a program.
Have you ever thought about doing a retreat? You know, like creating an actual a
I'm good.
physical location.
So I'm going to do a event next year. I haven't,
Yeah.
because one of my clients, I'm like, I want her to speak at it as well because she's just freaking incredible. I'm definitely going to do an event next year. I don't know yet because I'm traveling 3 times next year, and I love being at home. I've got a toddler, so it really depends on where I go. But as you've seen, like I change, like I'm changing what I'm doing and creating new things like quicker than you can say freaking 2025. So who knows?
You know what? Like just as we've come
The
to
genius retreat.
the Genius Retreat, I love it. But seeing as we're getting closer to the end of this episode, if there's one thing I want people to take away from this, and I know they'll take more than one, it's give yourself permission to shift and move identities. Like
Oh
I've
my
done it
God.
multiple times, Victoria's done it numerous times. Like it's okay. The only person that's putting you in this box is
It's
you.
you. It's not just okay. It's like I truly believe like if we are not expanding, like to me that's like death, not expanding. I know that sounds pretty thingy, but to me it is. We've got these incredible minds. We're meant to use them. We've got the gifts that we were born with and that we learn throughout our lives, and we've got our journeys and our stories and our passions. Use them, but don't just use them on like boxing yourself in how you can use them or on how many people or what you do with it. Like blow your own mind because I'm blowing my mind daily. My clients are blowing my mind daily. They're blowing their mind. Like let's just all blow our minds, right?
My last question to you has got to be about your husband. So here you are, you know, marriage is on the rocks, all the rest of it that you shared with us. Now you have this phenomenal business. You've found your genius, which is ironically helping others find their genius. I just love that whole
Obviously,
thing.
divine.
Yeah, love that whole thing. Where does he stand now with, as an outsider, watching you evolve
He
and this
still
new
thinks I'm
version of
batshit
you?
crazy. He still absolutely thinks I'm batshit crazy.
Does
Like
he?
he still cannot in any way comprehend what goes on in my head. When I came back from like the event I went to in Florida, I'm like, and he's just like, this is amazing, but I don't understand half of it. So he is just like he's the most logical, practical man you could imagine. And a lot of my clients who are similar to me also have practical, logical husbands.
Same.
Yeah, yeah, he likes spreadsheets and like they have to have evidence of everything. And I'm like, fuck the evidence. Let's make the evidence. So yeah, he still thinks I am absolutely crazy. But you know what? He fell in love with that crazy. He married that crazy. He had a baby with that crazy. So he's just as crazy as me.
And also you're getting the results, you're getting the outcomes, and you're getting your clients the outcomes. And he must see that and appreciate that though, right?
Totally,
Yeah.
totally. Yeah, he's super proud. And my God, when I think of where we were like just 5 months ago, so this is the other thing, like stuff can change so freaking fast.
Yeah.
5 months ago, I was like, Mum, you need to help me. I cannot afford the mortgage. We cannot afford the mortgage this month.
Mm.
Like that's how bad it was.
Yeah.
And then I did 6 figures in my first 3 months.
Epic. Absolutely epic. Thank you so much, Victoria, for sharing your
You're
story
so
and
welcome.
your genius code. And as I said earlier to everybody, I will make sure all of where we can find Victoria in the show notes. Go and check her out. Go and watch these reels of her with her newspapers and her sequin dresses in
My
Florida
fan.
and her fan. And 7th of January.
7th of January, Genius Code starts. Behind closed doors, you can come in. You could, whenever this is aired, you can come into that.
Amazing. Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. Thank you, Victoria.
Thank you for having me.